I came to America to visit them, to see again Nikki, Alexandra, my daughter, and I decided to stay.
And at the time, I was, my parents were working full-time jobs, and I was staying at a babysitter. It's a very foreign concept in Romania, a babysitter. Why would you leave your kid with a stranger, basically? And so my grandma's heart just melted, and so she decided to stay here for me.
Broke my heart going to the babysitter, and I go back to Romania doing what? No, I decided to stay here to help them. Most of the time she spent in a house. I thought it was two reasons why she didn't go out with the kids, because she didn't speak good English at the time, and she was very busy coloring.
I just really, really, really loved color. That was my biggest motivation. I think the biggest reason I ever started painting or doing anything was because I just liked seeing color on pages. I created sort of this fantasy of colors, this world of colors where I was like, oh my God, it's never ending.
Every child is doing the same thing that Alexandra was doing, only that Alexandra took over in a different way, as far as sheer determination that she had to just put, time, allocate time. And as a child, you think that your baby is supposed to go play with dolls more than it's supposed to, use crayons.
I wish her go out with the next door kids or upstairs kids, and she didn't. I said, okay, I am here, I stay in the house, and even when she go outside, she stay in front of the door with crossing legs and coloring.
I was worried in the beginning, not worried that she was abnormal, but worried that she would, I wanted her to have a little bit of everything.
So they took all of my coloring books away, and they supplied me with just blank sheets of paper. And I guess since I was so particularly accustomed to the coloring book format, what I would do is I'd gather 10, 15 pages and kind of create my own coloring books, and I'd do like a cover sheet and create my own narrative and my own story to each of my images, and kind of have my block outline and color them in. And I think that was a sort of turning point for my parents, where they realized, whoa, okay, she really likes this.
She had, just an inner calling.
Any free moment I had in school, I'd be drawing, and sometimes I'd be drawing at the wrong times when we were being lectured on Native Americans or whatever, and you'd get in trouble here and there. But I don't want to say I developed a style, but I was already kind of experimenting with like these funny faces and blue figures and like three-eyed heads and person with 2 fingers instead of 5 and like 3 legs instead of 2 and so on and so forth. And kids are the best bullies in the world.
There were times when Alexandra would come home from school and she would just start crying because she would be, she wouldn't comprehend why, her drawings would stir up such reaction from kids that sometimes they would be cruel. They would just say things as, oh my God, you're so weird, oh my God, or, no wonder why, it's just, you're so weird, you're so quiet sometimes. Sometimes you're talking, but sometimes you're doing all these stupid drawings, weird drawings.
Which to me were not weird. They were just so much cooler than what everyone else was doing, because they were all doing the same thing. So I was kind of, my whole reason, I think, for kind of, I don't want to call it abstract because I had no idea what that was when I was 8 years old. I didn't know what abstract art was. But my whole reasoning, at least to myself, and the way I rationalized what I was doing was, well, everyone's doing the same thing. They're all making these like pretty blonde stick figure girls with rainbows and lollipop trees. I remember particularly studying about the Africans, and one of our assignments was to make an African mask. And I ended up doing like this monstrous blue and black outline thing, and I mean, a lot of pain. It really looked uglier than everyone else's, but it looked different. So that's what excited me. And I remember at that moment when we were like presenting our mask, there was this one kid, his name was Tyler. I remember him. I wonder where he's at. And he's like, oh my God, Alexandra's an alien, ew.
Then one day, her third grade teacher, we were in an open house. you know, he would come to me and Mr. Beaumont, and he would say, you know, you got to, you know, I'd like to show you some things that I'm really, you know, I love what Alexandra is doing, and I'm so amazed. This is the word he said. I'm so amazed that she comes with all this coloring. They're just so amazing, and I'd like to know if you can take her to some art classes, or if you can just, if you know of what's going on. But, you know, and then I go, if I know, you would, why don't you come to our place? Because I think you want to see something. She's doing a lot of this stuff.
He saw, you know, all the paintings hanging everywhere and stacked up behind the walls and whatever, and he said, you know, the public library has a room that they use to show, you know, local artists, or they used to show students that have won art competitions and, you know, have won prizes or whatever. Would you be interested in? I mean, clearly it sounded exciting, but no one really knew like what that meant. My parents weren't art connoisseurs. They didn't, you know, really know what it meant to have a show. I had no idea. I just got really excited because I, you know, thought I could have a party, and that was all that I cared about. Maybe my friends wouldn't think I was weird anymore. You know, that was like, I was just driven by like becoming normal again, you know? I actually sold my first painting there, which really never had the show with intent. I never even knew that I could sell paintings. Like it just didn't make sense to me. But I remember this couple perfectly. I remember them coming up to me, and it was a little piece this big, smaller than an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And you know, they said, would you sell it to us? And I stopped away and I said, no, you know, I don't sell these. They're all mine. What do you mean? And he said, but it's a gift, and it's for my mom, and you know, she'll really like it, and it's Mother's Day. And don't you want to get your mom a gift? And I was like, oh. So in the end, I ended up selling my first painting for $50. Soon after my first show, when I was 8, I had a few gatherings at like very modest and small coffee houses, and you know, little coffee bars where I'd have 2-3 canvases hanging on the wall. And then I think I was 9 years old at this time. I had a show at a bookstore / gallery kind of a place.
So I walked in the little bookstore, and it's like I walked into another dimension. And I saw these paintings, and I looked, and it was like if I almost could feel the soul of this person. I didn't know anything about her. She touched my soul with her work. And I almost started to cry because I felt a oneness with her without knowing her. And it was a funny feeling, a beautiful feeling. So I found out about her, and I couldn't believe that all these paintings were made by this little soul, this little girl. So meanwhile, I had no money and no intentions of going in to buy anything. Took a loan at the credit union. I bought all that I could buy with $5,000 or more. Took a loan, not for me, but to help this child to achieve her dream, because she had a beautiful life ahead. And I don't know why, I just wanted to help her.